Today we're looking at the 18 Boys New South Wales Junior State Cup State Final decider.
Oh, how about that? It's even better.
Count of the man, count of the hour.
That is sensational.
All right, under 18 boys. Manly with the tap off facing the Sharks, hailing from Cronulla or Tarrant Point. And this is a 3-game series from the winner of the Southern and the winner of the Northern Conference. Sharks being Southern, Manly being Northern. And this is the deciding match. They're currently at 1-1. The first try here. So it just looks like a sinker pass. So let's just have a look at this in a bit more detail. So originally this looked like a middle link quickie, but I think that's the winger and the link here, with these two guys here being the middle. So it kind of confused me at first as to how he got the numbers. But as we play forward, the middles come up to make a touch, where this link here, just talking about defense at the moment, because that's the link with the ball, the link defender could come up and make a touch. And really the only play they've got there is a punish, which is this player here gets the ball back and takes on the link. Okay, but he didn't do that. And look, some teams play defense where you keep your links back, which could be a thing, which is fine. So the middle makes a touch, and it just turns out to be a 4-on-3. So the middle's pulling corner, links pulling corner to cover that short side. And it looks like with his body position that he's going to pop the pass to the dumper. Okay, because he's completely faced towards the sideline. He's not picking the ball up like he's going to run the ball. But what he does is he dummies. So it's just a slight dummy. He picks up the ball and shapes the pass. You can see the defender there. He's pulled a massive corner. So he's gotten out of that touch and he's left the space behind. And it's actually quite a big gap between him and the next middle. So that's the first thing that's probably not ideal. If you are going to pull a massive corner like that, then your other middle needs to be a lot tighter, because every step that you take, pulling a big corner, you're extending that gap between you and the middles. And you need this middle to step up, not to step diagonal. A lot of arrows there. So again, that's just probably a little bit too wide in the middle. So when he picks the ball up, there's no pressure on him. He can run straight into that space, and the defender's either going to let him run through, which is probably not a good idea, or they're going to have to come flying in like that. And if they all come flying in, then a big long ball over the top into space is probably going to be a try to the winger. But in this case, whether or not Manly did any work on the Sharks with the video sessions, he throws what's called a sinker. Oh, sorry, we're going forward a bit. He throws what's called a sinker, which goes high, but not long. So there's not a lot of power on it. So it just drops in to where the link hole is. And the reason he can't throw a flat pass is because of this defender here. He's gotten off quite high off the line, and he's vulnerable to pick that pass off as an intercept. And yeah, you can see the gap that's left between link and wing there, and that sinker ball's just caught like this. That's the first try, and you'll notice that there's 3 points on the scoreboard, and that is because in juniors in New South Wales, the first try is worth 3, and then all others are worth 2. That is just to avoid a drop-off. So that's nice recycling there. This is something that we don't talk about on the channel, and something that I'll probably make a note of to do a full breakdown of, but this is nice recycling of the ball. So we come for our strike dump here, which is just middle. Middle goes down for a middle with the 2 middle defenders, and you step in. Make sure you step in to where the other middle is, so that way your dummy half can take on the touching middle who is the most offside. That's an important one. I do have a video on which way to split, and that really covers the middle play. All right, so he takes off from dummy half and gives the pass more like a reverse quickie to try and just foot race them to the corner. Okay. And if you can beat them one-on-one, you come back. But it's good recovery here. These guys aren't biting. They're just they're not at the line yet, so they can just sort of hover. And they've done that really well. And Sharks have identified this, so they don't go and they basically abandon that play. But by abandoning the play, they know that they're not going to score if they try and dive at the line. They're going to run into a wall. So they abandon the play, they save a touch. So when they run another play now, they've got the option for a second phase play. And it keeps all the defenders from parking themselves on the line after a touch. They've all got to keep moving forward, keep moving forward, keep moving forward while you're recycling the ball. And then you go and run your play. So they run this play here. It is a plain and simple rooster. Middle link. This guy is the middle running onto the ball. He's going to attack the toucher. Dummy half is going to pop and get around and basically enter the next hole. So in theory, it's just going to give you a 4-on-3 with this player being live. And what's probably not great here is you look at the feet of you look at the feet that I just covered. Hang on, you can't look at the feet now. Look at the feet of the Manly player. He's not really off the line. Now, it's very uncomfortable to do this for the first time, but when you're defending at link on the open side, you need to take 3 steps off the line, and you're going to feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. But now all these bullet passes, which you see are going to be thrown, you're taking them as an intercept, and because now you're in the way of that bullet pass, you can go in a little bit. So again, doing that for the first couple of times is going to feel very uncomfortable as a link, but it really will knock over that. Like, you look at how close that ball is to the link's head. If he's here, that hits him and he catches it, and you're not catching him. He's going the length that way. So yeah, it's just an important thing for defenders. Everyone on the open side, really, and in the short side. Well, basically a general rule of thumb is the line is lava. Hit it and get off it. It's a nice hole too. Nice hole runner. We've got a video about running holes, so check it out. Run the perfect hole. Manly hit back. And there was a lot of tries in this game that were just hit backs off a tap off after a try. So this one here, the dummy half runs through, but we've got another middle play. Okay, so it's middle. Again, like we said, he steps in. And this guy pulls corner. Whereas this fella's shape here is probably a bit off, unless that is not middle. Okay, my mistake. They're so far into the middle that I've just confused myself. Okay, this is middle link. So link is dummy half. This is the link. So forget what I said. He doesn't have poor shape. He's correct. So this fella here is the one that threw me off. He should be making the touch with his left hand and have similar shape to his link. They should be both pulling corner after the touch is made. But let's have a look what happens here. See how he did that spin? This defender, it's terrible. But he did a spin. Okay, if he had have pulled corner, he'd be standing here and he'd be forcing that ball carrier back into a 4-on-3. And this particular player here, that's his bad side to pass. And he doesn't want to do that. So that's about reading the room of who's going to be the ball player. But because he pulled the open side, did a little spin, he's sort of found himself in the middle of no man's land. And it gives the dummy half just a free line straight into the in goal. Which, of course, you don't want to shut that down. You don't want to shut that down if you're on the short side. It's just basically, excuse the errors there. It's just basically find a player. When you run into the in goal on the short side, you can have a look at one of my videos called The Cut. It's the short side cut. That is probably the best thing that you can do here. What Manly have done is they've just ran and found open space. But going back to the defender there, that was probably the most important point out of this. Again, we've got a middle, but that's a reverse quickie. So you compare reverse quickies to open side. Well, that is compare reverse to short side quickies. Okay, we've got the middles here. All right, and we've gone against. So we're now attacking the the onside player. Now that normally wouldn't make any sense because you want to attack the offside player. But if you can beat someone one-on-one, I would definitely recommend doing a reverse quickie. If you've got a confident sidestep, because now the saving defender back on the open side is offside. So if you can beat that back middle, no one can save him. Which you see what happens here. He goes to the line here, and this guy is still offside, and he's dove at the line. So if you can beat one person, that cover defender can't get you. So that's good if you're a diver. If you've got a good step and a good dive, definitely recommend the reverse quickies. If you're a ball player and you prefer to pass, then I'd go short side quickies. And that's probably a little bit different to my original video. That's just because my original video was probably made 18 months ago, and I've just learnt a few things since then. So 2 tries each. This is a nice passive play. And because of the replay, there wasn't a lot of lead-up footage to this one. But it's just a middle link. So middle goes down for the link, and this is a passive shape. We've got a middle hitting the short hole, and then a link that's dipping real deep. He can probably even be a bit tighter if he wants to. It could almost be like exactly behind the player. And you can see the dummy half beats the toucher. The touchers pull a hard corner. Now, these guys here have come up real hard. Now, I've made a video recently about this being a very dangerous choice. It's mainly about this person here, because if he comes up really hard, then the short ball's on. If both of them come up, then a passive is definitely the option. If they had have just held off, this player here could probably recover, and then they could man on. But they both come up, which means out the back's on, because he's got to come in. And for him to turn around and chase, you'll watch him as play continues. It's just too hard for him to completely stop, set himself for a new run, and then start again. And even this pass, it was a little bit behind him, but the angle was nice. So check out my video on passives. A lot of this stuff can be, I've got individual videos on anyway. But yeah, it worries me when you start aggressively getting up when you're not at the line yet on rolling defense. Another middle. And this is the same sort of thing. You can see how high this link wants to get, which, to be fair, once this middle goes up, you've kind of got to, because if you don't, then the short ball's on and they're just going to run through that hole. But again, like, you're a long way from the line. You're not even at the 7 yet. I'd probably as a defender trying to back off until you hit a couple of meters out and then shut down if your toucher isn't able to recover themselves, because otherwise just any pass that's going to hit its mark, you're pretty much done for there. And that's just another passive just running away from the box there. So we don't have to talk about that one too much. It's just a passive. It's just a very well executed passive. So we're at 3 tries each now. Obviously Manly are in front because they scored first. Now, I'm not sure. This is an interesting one because it looks like a sweeper. Oh, okay. Okay, I know what this is. So they're running a Cindy. They're running a middle sweeper. Now, I want to talk a little bit about reading the room here. Now, when you go up against teams, as a coach, it's good to not understand, as a player as well, it's good to understand who the main strike players are for a team. Now, in Manly under 18s, this is one of them. Excellent player. There's not a lot of weaknesses in his game. Can pass, can dive, can step, run. He's a very good player. So when you have these two players here and they're next to him, you need to understand that the play is probably going to be for the number 1, the bloke with the ball. So if he sends the number 2 on a sweep, I'd have no problem if you were to back yourself saying that this player here is not going to get the ball. Firstly, because that means he would become the ball player. And secondly, they're running a middle sweep, whereas your middle is making the touch. So if they did give him the ball, they'd go straight into your onside link and it'd just be man on. It'd be an easy touch. So if I was this defender here, firstly, I'd be back here as close to the referee as possible. And you can afford to be a little bit looser back here, once you notify or once you see that, one, this is the player at dummy half, so he is probably going to run back to the open side. And if he's dummy half, then he can't score. You can be a little bit looser, show him the space, which is between you guys, and then shut down at the last minute. And that's the same as this toucher here. When you see a middle sweep and they're sweeping into a link that's onside, you don't really have to pull a very big corner at all. You can sort of keep your body shape, but run straight back to the line. Because this guy's good. This link here, he's good. He'll make the touch. So what happens here, they run what's called the two-step. Sorry, if it's not making sense, I'm having a bit of technical problems at the moment. So yes, two-step, which means the play is going to automatically come back this way. So the defense, you can see that they're shaping towards the sweeper. So they're all facing this way, which means they're vulnerable to be attacked against the grain, which is what they're going to do. But because this guy is nice and tight, which, like I said, he doesn't need to be because there's no real threat of a sweeper. Now, when they dish it back to the two-step, so the guy that stumped the ball gets the ball back. Because he's tight, he now has to turn and chase this way. And because this guy's pulled a big corner, now all of a sudden, the gap in the middle has gotten huge. All right, so that's why it's important to just sort of understand what's happening. It's not, yes, you're doing policy, but a Cindy two-step is basically a decoy sweeper. Like, they're never going to give it to that sweeper. So we can loosen up and go a little bit more man on because this whole play is designed for you to overchase a sweeper. And you can see the hole opens up in the middle. So it's a nice play. It's a cool little play to do if it's wet or if you don't have a long ball. Women's use that play a lot, actually. And Manly hit back now. Again, middle, with a nice long ball. Now, middle, it's a very popular move. And the reason why it's probably more popular than middle link is because a link in defense can't come up and make the touch and relieve pressure off the middles, because if he comes up too close, it's just a bullet passed out to your link. Hello, you've got a 2-on-1 on the short side. So we go middle. It's important here he takes off short side. Okay, and once this guy's committed to pulling a large corner, he steps back in. And then it's just a 4-on-3. And because we've had like a sinker ball early in the game, we've had the passive, we haven't had a long ball to the winger yet. Odds are the winger's going to come in. So it's very smart here from this player. So there's a bit of an over-exaggeration on the step. There it is again. And it's a big pass to the winger. What do we got next? Sharks hitting back. It's currently 5 tries to 3. Could this be middle again? It certainly is. This is an interesting play. It's a quarterback off a reverse quickie. Now, normally we'd see a quarterback off a short side quickie, just a regular quickie. But let's have a look at this one. So we've got a reverse quickie attacking the onside player now, which does mean that this guy here is going to have to cover in. So he's trying to cover that gap because there's the threat of the dive in the middle. And while he's coming in, this player here bounces out. And because it's short side technically out here, the link in theory should be pulling corner away. So while he's moving away and this player's coming in, then you should have a 3-on-2 on the short side. If anything, this link here could probably be a little bit wider, but he might not have known that play was coming. So there's the little bounce. And you can see this guy here, he just got caught sort of flat-footed and he's a bit behind now. And while he may be okay here, the fact that he was twisted in and brought out, it's just there's a little bit of doubt here in his teammates. And this is where it's important to talk. Because if he says nothing here, they've got to make a guess. And usually your guess is to come in. If he says, I'm good, they turn and they man on and the try's saved. But because there was probably no communication, the defenders had to come in, and it was just a nice long pass to the wing. So it was a reverse quickie quarterback. More so I've seen that in mixed, if anything. So run that Cindy two-step again. He runs through from half. This is, again, you got to read the room. Got to read the room here. So yes, this guy's probably, that's the width you want. However, we need to be moving forward as he sort of does. This guy hasn't really pulled a corner, which is fine. The only thing here, so I guess we have read the room, excuse me. I probably shouldn't be harsh like that. But the only thing here, unless there has been a talk of stay out, at the last minute as he sort of gets through the gap, he needs to make that touch, the guy with the arrow on his head, about now. Now he could probably reach in and just touch him. Because that's where you don't ever want to let the dummy half run through on the open side. Because these guys are all getting off the line. And as soon as the dummy half runs through, all the attackers run past the defenders and into space. Which here, the number 15 is into space. And he collects a nice, easy try. So if I sound a bit tired, it's because I've just done a podcast on NTL. And this has only happened today, and I want to get it out Monday, 7 o'clock. Which is now, if you're watching this. Okay, what have Sharks got here? Middle link, rooster, sinker, cool. All right, let's have a look. Middle link play the ball this time. Obviously, that's because they're not just doing a dummy half run. The middle is still being the ball player, but from a rooster platform. There was a rooster scored earlier in this game that was nice. And this time, they go for the sinker pass, which is the one that looks like it's going long, and then it just drops down into that link hole, or the links here, but he's running into that link hole. And again, we talk about getting off the line. Look at the winger. His feet are just planted on the line, which means he's read the pass pretty well. If he was up off the line, he probably doesn't allow, that's probably a touch pass, because he would have started a lot closer. He would have been a touch pass. He would have been able to get a hand in the way. But he's come from the line, had to run a little bit further, and they've just been able to get that pass off. That's a hard pass to get off. You've full twisted, done a 180. And I like the post-try celebration there, just giving the ball back to Manly. That's a nice rooster. Good deep. Split up, something a bit different. Split a quarterback. Now this is just a lapse in concentration, really. So we've got to split a quarterback here. So a splitter it looks like a short side quickie. I'm not going to draw arrows because I've got a video on splitter. And the link comes up the middle. So essentially now, this is the shape of a short side quickie with, instead of this person dumping the ball, they've split up the middle. And then they run the quarterback, so the number 10 goes in and then bounces out. They don't run it particularly perfect because you see how he had to lean forward to catch the ball. So he's not really running out. He's more of running an angle into the defender. But the link has come flying in probably a little bit too late. Now, policy might be to strike an open side quickie quarterback shape, which he's done, but he's just a little bit late. So he should be striking that while he's still juggling. He should be getting touched. But because he's juggled, managed to get the grip, and he's got to pass off. This is good cover by the middle. It's just unfortunate that this middle didn't do the same thing. And I know it's hard because you've made the touch, and now essentially I'm expecting you to touch this link. But this is just where scramble, especially when it's 13-10 in a Junior State Cup Grand Final, we just need to be on our toes, scrambling the best we can. I know it's not policy. I know policy means this guy should have made the touch. If not, this guy should have made the touch. But we just got to get things done. And because he just sort of stands there, I don't know if I'm being overly critical or not. That's how close it was. Anyway, I'm having a few technical difficulties tonight, so I apologise, and I'll get that fixed for the next one. But the last try in this game, it was a simple penalty to Manly. It was the hooter had gone. Sharks stopped because they thought that was going to be the end of the game, and Manly just tapped the ball, and they run the length and score the try, and Manly win the game 17 points to 10, or 8 tries to 5 tries. So congratulations to Manly. I'd like to show the celebration at the end, but this just keeps freezing and I don't know why. But thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Become a member. If you were a member, you would have seen this, well, not this video early because it's coming out as soon as it's made, but all other videos you can see early if you become a member. It's only like $4 a month. It's cheap as. If not, just please subscribe, keep watching, and we'll see you next time.